Hello, good morning, and welcome. This is Sunrise, and I'm Ayo Makinde. Hope you had a good night rest. Well, and how about your cup of cocoa this morning? Well, actually, I haven't had mine. For some reasons I can't tell you now. But hey, there are some people who are making fun of me now just because they know I have not had my cup of coffee, but cup of cocoa this morning. But hey, that's that, and progress will be made. I hope you've had yours. If you haven't, go get one. And if it's cocoa you prefer, please, by all means. And I know a number of you have been asking, where is Alera? Well, she's probably watching me right now and laughing her head off and wondering what's wrong with this guy. Now, one of the big news that took place in the course of the week is the swearing in of the new Chief Justice of Nigeria, and that is in the person of Justice Kekere-Ekun. Now, there are hopes, there are dreams, there are also aspirations, and then there are those who are saying, hey, what's the big deal? It's just going to be the same old, same old. At the end of the day, one thing that we can always say for any public officer is that a public officer is just one human being. We've had conversations on channels television about the implications, the expectations of this new CJN. We've had the comments of the president. We've had the comments of the previous Chief Justice of Nigeria and the new one. So at the end of the day, she's not going to be working all by herself. She's going to be working along with brother justices, and she's going to be working with lawyers, and all eyes are definitely going to be on her. At the end of the day, it's all for the purpose of making Nigeria better, right? So what will be our contribution to helping our institutions succeed? And talking about our institutions, there are those who are wondering, how do we make these institutions bigger? Well, that's one of the things that we hope we'll be able to achieve today in some of the conversations that we're going to be having. Because this morning, the first thing we are talking about is food insecurity, or rather food security. We've had enough of the insecurity. How are we going to ensure that we make that better? How are we going to ensure that we strengthen our food security apparatus in our country? That's the first thing we'll be talking about this morning. And what kinds of interventions have gone ahead? Then we have this proud African roots. What does that mean? Well, the details of that you will get in the course of the program. Then there's the Advanced Leadership Conference, whatever that means, is also something that I'm very sure is exciting and you want to know about. It's a breakfast show, so it's a potpourri of all kinds of things, and it's a buffet, right? Now, you can see that on your screen right now is lifestyle, and we'll be talking about healthy screen time for kids. I saw a scary video once of children whom you took the screen time from them and it felt like you took a drug or something. Something needs to be done about that, particularly now that they're at home. And there are those who say, I can't wait for these kids to resume. And how are we engaging them? How much closer have they gotten to you? I guess time will tell in the course of the program today. Our artist of the week is also lined up. Just keep your hair on. We will be bringing you all of these in due course. In the meantime, let's take a break, and when we return, we'll begin with efforts at boosting food security in Nigeria. Stay with us.
I'm back again. It's DJ Gasparella. Yo.
CK Weeks.
Henry Soul.
I know fit explain this feeling. My life it don't sweet past honey. With my clothes of many colors. I'm on my DJ.
How much is tomatoes on your end now? Yeah, and other peppers, as well as onions, particularly those perishables. We heard in recent time that the perishables have suddenly gotten cheaper in various parts of the country, to the extent that it made the headlines on the front pages. Lead stories. Ha! That ain't no small feat. But then that's that. Now, what's responsible for that? We've been hearing the president and a number of other people say, the prices of food is going to crash and now, but hey, is this the crash we're waiting for? Or is there another one coming? Let there be another one, because people are looking at other food items like rice, like gari, like beans, like yam, also crashing prices over time. Well, we understand that the United Nations predicted that 82 million Nigerians, that's about 64% of the country's population, may go hungry by 2030. Certainly not the kind of prediction we want. And it's called on the government to tackle climate change, pest infestations, and other threats to agricultural productivity. Now, there have been several interventions to help Nigeria achieve that food security over time, especially in recent times when food inflation is the highest of the inflation demographic, if I can put it that way. Well, this morning we have three people on our panel to discuss this. Raman Adenioye is CEO, Rashak Farms and Agro Island Limited. She joins us from our Abuja studio. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Okay. We also have Sabiu Sani, who is former CEO, Kaduna State Agricultural Development Agency. He joins us virtually from Kaduna, along with Kabir Yusuf, who is the National Coordinator, Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zones. He's joined us from he's also joined us virtually this morning. Gentlemen and lady, thank you for joining us today. Let me begin with you, Ms. Adeoye, in our studio in Abuja. Now, all of this conversation isn't coming to you strangely. Okay, I think we need to first of all start from Mr. Sonny in Kaduna. Mr. Sonny, all of this conversation about food insecurity, about the logistics of food and all, what are the things? We understand the United Nations says it's all about climate change, pest infestations, and other threats like logistic challenges, like storage and all those things. What can you tell us about the Kaduna experience? Mr. Sabiu Sani, that is for you.
As a line with your own statement, which is also in support of what you have quoted, food insecurity is a combination of challenges that require integrated approach to resolve in this our country. There is that need for us to bring private investment and bring knowledge and coordinated approach in formalizing the food system and the production system in its own. Because when you look at agriculture, not only in Kaduna State, and also which virtually can translate into what happens across the country, production is usually smallholder, limited financial investment, disorganized structures, and sometimes focusing on agriculture more as a social services rather than an economic sector. All the efforts that is happening in recent years, including the policy changes at federal and state level, is to be able to bring in and make agriculture look good so that private capital and also the required institutional frameworks and other supporting facilities, including knowledge and linking it to the new technology, especially the issues relating to climate changes that we are facing, which truly has an impact in the food production system. But post-harvest losses too and low yields are something that contribute to some of these challenges that we are facing today in terms of our production output and the level of interest and capital deployed into the agri and food system in the country.
Well, let me ask if that's been the experience of Ms. Adeoye in our Abuja studio. Madam, has that been your experience? Oh, okay. Well, we'll sort that out because we need to hear from a farmer. She's a farmer, and she definitely, as they say, know where the foot pinches. Well, let me ask Mr. Yusuf. He works with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. So there have been, every time we talk about any issue in the country, we talk first about the federal government. We are wondering, what is the federal government doing about it? And most of the time when people have been talking about food security or a lack of it, to a large extent, people are wondering, what's happening? What are those people at the Federal Ministry of Agriculture doing? Where's the minister? We don't even know what the minister is doing. We don't understand what's going on and all of that. I mean, is that a little too low of us? Are we pointing fingers in the wrong direction? Is there someone else we should be looking at? Exactly. Tell us, what should Nigerians be expecting from the Federal Ministry of Agriculture?
Good morning, Mr. Ayo. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. So permit me, let me talk from the development part. As you know, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture comprises of different departments, different agencies, all working together assiduously to ensure that this country is not only food secure, but at least we're even net exporters of food. So let me talk from the development part and a lot of things that we've been doing to ensure that we're not just food secure, but we're net exporters of food. There's what we call the NAGS Agro Pocket, which was a budget support from the African Development Bank to ensure that we boost food security. And this cycle has been happening for almost a year now, whereby we provide subsidized farm inputs to farmers, and then we conduct monitoring and evaluation to see how they're able to mop up. Of course, if you check the statistics, you would have seen how much buffers that we've gotten. But it's worthy of note that this food security issues didn't start now, right? It's a long-term activity lingering, and it's a component of a lot of things: monetary policy, the global economic landscape, and importantly, the insecurity, because logistics is also very key. And you can attest to really the work the ministry has been doing, and even the country at large. During COVID, there were a lot of analysis that Nigeria is going to go hungry, as a lot of countries, but we didn't experience that. We closed our borders and were able to eat because there was a lot of production from the smallholder farmers. But with the current insecurity and also the fear, you can understand that a lot of people are not going to farm. It's just of recent that people are now going back to farm. Now, added to what my colleague just said, Mr. Sani, is also the climate change, right? The diseases. We just witnessed a very huge, massive loss in the ginger, the same on tomato. So these are also parts of components that are hindering a lot of activities conducted by the Ministry of Agriculture that is seriously working to ensure that we're food secure. Thank you.
But talking about those the development initiatives, you know, it's a good thing. But what problems do we want to solve? And what's the place of collaboration? Because as we all know, I say from time to time, the federal government doesn't have the land by the laws of the country. So if the government is going to make use, the federal government is going to make use of any land, we know that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture is some sort of aggregator, so to speak, for the ministries of agriculture all across the country. So how's that collaboration been? What are the challenges? And I'm pretty sure it's something Mr. Sonny would also want to, maybe I should actually ask you. Mr. Sonny, in terms of collaboration with the federal government, given the fact we know that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture is not, you know, really the one to do the farming per se, it's the states. All right, correct me if I'm wrong, because it's the states that own the lands. It's the states that, you know, engineer all of these farming things. So that collaboration is something that people are wondering whether or not it is happening significantly enough.
Well, I can tell you that the federal government, specifically Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, has been consistently and progressively supporting the agricultural productivity in the country in terms of policy frameworks and in terms of even support. What I want us to see is that if you look at over the years, federal government at their level have come up with policy, the policy environment that encourage private sector investment, that also provide the opportunity for people or small hold, because you need to understand also the fact that agriculture in Nigeria is significantly smallholder. So at a time when federal government thought it wise to intervene in broader areas, mechanization, large-scale warehousing and all that, and then also looking at agriculture in form of them subsidizing inputs and also regulating the operational space, which now form the basis of the state government to also look through keying into the program. Of recently, the various programs and objectives. And within the recent years, what we have seen is the expansion of the space, recognition of agriculture as a business, and also opening up the space in terms of federal government making available its own facilities, and also going towards collaborations locally and internationally, bringing in funding, bringing in donor capital, and bringing in technological support and supporting the various linkages that will improve productivity, that will optimize the use of existing facilities, that will also encourage private investment into the sector, so that at the end of the day, when you look at within the last, let's say 10 or years thereabout, we have increased number of seed companies, we have increased number of operators that are providing funding support, and we have seen the participation of Nigeria presently. We are into it, like collaboration between federal government and number of state government in the special agri processing zone. I would say truly that Federal Ministry of Agriculture has been very active, and they have been also flexible, in the sense that if you look at even the name from Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, then you will understand with me that yes, there is that issue relating to realizing the dynamics that are involved in agricultural productivity and the systemic alignment that is happening to make it functional and meet the requirement. So what is it that we want to solve? We want to solve issues relating to productivity enhancement by improving the operating environment, adopting functional and useful policy frameworks, engaging with the relevant stakeholders locally and internationally, and bringing in collaboration at local and international level for this country to be able to improve that output. And of course, the moment you are talking about productivity enhancement, then bringing in new seed, new technologies, and also supporting the smallholder farmers by promoting formation of farmer cooperatives, and then leveraging on those structures that have been created to be able to reach out to the farmers at the smallholder level and trying to guide the operational spaces is all that has been taking place. But this, as this is happening, climate change also is showing its face.
We'll come back to some of those issues, Mr. Sonny, my apologies. But, you know, when you talk about policy, enhancement, value addition, all of that is sounding more at the policy, more like the policy level. The experience of the farmers is a very critical factor here. Whether those policies experience with their experience, whether those policies align with their experiences, that's another thing altogether. Let's find out from a farmer. Mr. Adenioye, I mean, we've been trying to hear your voice on this. You've listened to the two gentlemen, both of them government, so to speak. So talk to us whether there is alignment between your experiences as a farmer and some of these lofty initiatives and pictures they are painting in our heads. Madam, my apologies. I can't hear you. I was hoping actually that somebody else was hearing you. But we'll come to, I really like to take your voice now because, and I hope that we can hear your voice the next time you speak. Excuse me, because, for instance, I was speaking with someone earlier in the week, and they were talking about what they are doing, what some states have been doing, trying to build the inner roads that lead to the farms and from the farms. And it's a major logistic issue. From farm to table, the logistic is shorter if the roads are better. So again, I hope we can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, but
Awesome.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you now. Please go ahead. So do those policies and those lofty pictures these gentlemen have painted align with some of your experiences as a farmer?
Well, to some extent, just giving credit to them. But when it comes to our own realities, you know, working with smallholder farmers, some of these things, you know, they're not as the same. For example, when it comes to the issue of, you know, providing input to smallholder farmers, that is one thing, providing input. The other thing is it timely, right? Do the farmers have them when they need them? From my experience, in most cases, that's not the case. The farmers get this input most times when it's late, right? And that's why, you know, we come in to try and do the little we can in our own way. Just to be sure, can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. No, don't worry about it. We'll hear you. Just go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Yes, so definitely this Federal Ministry of Agric, you know, saying that they provide input, that is true, but the question is, do the farmers get this when they need it? Is it timely? That's one. Obviously, the issue of the processing zone, fantastic idea. I think it's a good initiative. But then again, the question becomes, do we have enough production to actually service, you know, some of these areas? That's another question that we'll probably want to ask ourselves. Definitely, we've had our own share of, you know, the effect of climate change. With us, we experienced drought in some areas of Kaduna, and of course flooding in another area in Kano State. So pretty much affecting like our farms. So these are issues and the major issues. And of course, the cost of input is another one, right? Are the farmers able to afford, you know, these inputs, even when they are subsidized? I mean, there are a lot of questions we can ask here and see how some of these policies actually play out. To the best of my knowledge, I think the Federal Ministry is, you know, doing the best they can, but can they do more? Absolutely, yes. More needs to be done, you know, and pretty soon also.
Interesting. Well, Dr. Yusuf, let me bring this to you now. You said you want us to talk about development. Absolutely. So let's talk about development. For as far back as I can remember, in fact, I saw a document that dates back to, I think, somewhere even pre-independence, efforts being made by Nigeria to develop its agricultural space sustainably. This document dates back to pre-independence. Now, I also remember that on the Naira notes of old, and maybe some of them still have those emblems now, what you would find on those Naira notes are the granite pyramids, the farming, agricultural, you know, representations. Those are the things that you'll find on our Naira notes at the time when I was growing up. Now, we got to a time where I hear all kinds of initiatives of the federal government to boost agricultural production in the country again, since the time that we kind of set it aside. I've heard, and I always remember, Operation Feed the Nation. I remember Operation Feed the Nation because it was sung, a musician put it in a song. And then after that, we heard about the Green Revolution. The next time we heard about anything close was the Directorate for Food, Roads, and Rural Infrastructure under the Babangida administration. And after that, and then, of course, with that came the Better Life program, which was largely a program largely to help women, to galvanize women about farming and, all of that. The next time we heard about it is when this the Fourth Republic began and Chief Olusegun Obasanjo decided to champion agriculture all over again. And we've been struggling with him because if we had succeeded with that over the past 25 years, we would not be talking about food insecurity now, or would we? So now there are others. You've mentioned one, and then Mr. Sonny also mentioned the special agro-industrial processing zones of the that came from the AFDB. So advise us or talk to us. What exactly are the challenges that make these lofty, seemingly lofty initiatives seem to go up and go down? And how do we ensure that doesn't happen again? Dr. Yusuf, that's for you.
Yes, thank you very much. So first of all,
I think you're suddenly muted. You want to check it, please? Oh, dear.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Yes. So let me start with your pre-independence statement, right? To tell you, yes, you're talking about the granite pyramids of then and vices now. So right now, if you have granite pyramids, it's not development. That is stranded commodity, right? You just have stranded commodities. That's what you have. So it's not a show of development for us because we're in an era of industrialized agriculture. So you don't want to have granites or maize pile up in a pyramid. Rather, you want to have them going through processing lines, being processed to finished commodities. That is what we call development. And that is why in this country, with all the assiduous work that the government is doing, you don't see granite pyramids because they're going into processing in different channels of the country. Now, coming back to all the efforts by different governments, I can tell you that is why we're here. You need to keep in mind that we're a growing population. By 2030, would be one of the most populous countries in the world. We're 250 million now. During the time of pre-independence, how much are we? So you also need to put that into context. Now, narrowing down to the SAPZ, to the Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zone.
Just 1 second, Dr. Yusuf, before you go to the SAPZ. I mean,
Yes.
It is understandable, the issue you raised about the fact that, it's not development. But if we had, and then the numbers and all those other things, if we had those long-term thinking, I'm very sure that we'll not still be grappling now. That's the point that I'm making. Those initiatives were good for then, not good for now. Now, what were the bottlenecks that we had at the time? It's definitely not just because of our numbers, demography, or population as a people, because we knew we were going to be this much. In fact, there's data out already that by, I think, was it 2050, we're going to be about 400 million people. It's a fact that is known to us. So that's the reason I'm asking these questions now.
Well, this is the same as a lot of, or what I want to call the resource course, right? We had agriculture at that time, and agriculture was thriving. Then we got oil, right? So it's all about the economics. Which one brings you the fastest fund to support your people, right? Oil gave us that. And we also have the economic downturn that affected all countries all over the world. So you need to put all those into perspective, right? We've been doing assiduous activities, but this is not absent a lot of challenges. As we're developing, of course, a lot of challenges are coming. At that time, there was nothing really like climate change issues, right? There wasn't, of course, importantly, the population. Now, agriculture became only possible with power. Now, you also know the issues that we're having in our power sector. And it's not only peculiar to this country, right? It's peculiar to a lot of countries. So I think it's a puzzle of different pieces. It's not only one thing that affected our agriculture. But believe me, I think the government has tried thus far to be able to bring us to where we are now. A lot of African countries can't feed themselves. Ethiopia, some years back, were going into farming, right? So Nigeria has never experienced that. So I think we've tried. And even a lot of European countries have had farming. They've had their successive periods. And we keep forgetting, we keep comparing ourselves with these developed countries, not knowing, not putting into concept, giving you example of the United States. They have a democracy that is 200 years. How old is our democracy? When did we start? When did we get independence? So I think we need to put this into context and also give ourselves accolade from where we start and where we are now.
It's a long way. It's a very I don't know, I don't know if Ms. Adenioye agrees with you that we should give ourselves a pat on the back. Do you think we could have avoided getting to this point, Ms. Adenioye?
No, I don't think this is a period to be giving ourselves a pat on the back. I think there are some fundamental issues that we need to address. I think the fact that we don't actually have data, in the agri space, I think is concerning. If I'm to, address this kind of situation that we're in right now, the first question I'll ask myself is, do we even have data, right? Do we have the data of the smallholder farmers that we have in this country? Do we have data of those that are into commercial farming? What is their production capacity? What is their yield like? What kind of commodities are they growing? So when I have that information, I'm able to now say, okay, this information I can take into now processing, right? Okay, so we want to start processing. We want to expand our processing capacity and then add value to our grains, our commodities. Absolutely fantastic. I think that's good, right? But do we even have enough production? Are we producing enough to be able to feed this processing facilities that we're trying to open across the country, right? I mean, these are information that we need to know. You said Ethiopia they're not able to feed themselves or something. I can't remember what you just said now, but the point is, when Ethiopians decide they're going to cultivate this hectare land size, they do that. Is that the case for us here? We'll probably say, okay, we're cultivating so number of hectares of land. Is that really the case? Do we have those hectares of land cultivated, or are those just numbers we are throwing in the air? You understand? What is our reality? What is on paper? For me, I don't have issues with, ideas. I think anything to improve the agri sector is welcome. But my challenge has always been implementation. You understand? That is very key, and that is very important. We saw that with the Anchor Borrowers program. It was a fantastic idea, if you ask me. I think it should, be revisited. But more importantly, how are we implementing? I think that was not properly implemented, and that's probably one of the challenges. So ideas to me are great. I mean, some of the ideas we've come up with as a nation, fantastic. But when it comes to implementation, how are we doing? I'll give you an example. So right now we are in the wet season planting period. We've cultivated several commodities. I'm not sure if the Federal Ministry has started even thinking about dry season farming, right? Because that's a conversation we've started having in-house in our organization. And we've come to realize that we might not necessarily even be able to cultivate some crop in the dry season because we don't even have seed. You understand? So these are how are we preparing? We prepare late when it comes to primary production. We prepare late, and then we give our inputs late, and then we expect that, okay, we want to have, food security. I think we need to start seeing agriculture as a business, right? And not necessarily as some, charity cause, if that makes sense. So that's probably what I would say for a fact. Probably, yeah, we've done pretty well, but this is not, I'll not give ourselves a pass mark at this point. I think we can do better, and we need to do better. In fact, we must do better. We don't have a choice. That's just the truth.
I really want us to talk about the special agro-industrial processing zones, which you also said is a good idea. But before that, just this quick one from you, madam. The infrastructure, soft infrastructure that we have on ground for agriculture, do you know some of them? How easy is it, for instance, to come across, investment funding to get things done for you? How easy is it for farmers to access anything to get off the ground and produce food for the country, in any part of the country?
I don't really think it's easy for farmers to access funding, that's for sure. I don't think it is easy. I know of a couple, private sector organizations trying to make this happen. We happen to be one of them, to make sure the farmers are able to get the inputs that they need at a very cheap, cost, and not, drown them in debt. So for us, assessing funding, I mean, we can say for a fact we've not accessed funding from anywhere, and we are still doing the work we're doing. When I say access fund from anywhere, locally, let me be clear with that. Locally, we've not accessed fund from any organization.
All right.
But now here we are addressing the needs of smallholder farmers, providing them input. You understand? So just last week or thereabout, we were on a feed visit, right? And some of our farmers are telling us, okay, even though yes, we had this input as at when we needed it, right? Road is an issue because they have to go through canoe, and then they had other fertilizer, in the water. And they're thinking, okay, are we supposed to take up road construction now, and provide road for farmers? That's a challenge, right? And then they tell you different problems that they're facing. Aside from this expensive cost of inputs, of course, road construction is an issue. Even some of these farmers, there is one thing that we're also not talking about them. It's their health. Basic health care is an issue for them. When a farmer is not healthy, how do you want the farmer to cultivate his piece of land? You understand? To be honest, in my experience, I think land is not really an issue. Access to land for farmers has never really been an issue, right? From our own experience. But it's always been the input, the basic infrastructure, the road, the warehouses, the storage, fair pricing, that's another one, right? So even after they do all this work and they're able to now finally cultivate the land, right? What value are they getting? Are they getting premium price for their commodities? That's another thing. And then you now argue, okay, you can't get premium price if you're not adding value. So the problems are multifaceted, right? And I think we can probably, if you ask me, start from primary production, all the way to processing, the value addition. Of course, we now talk about, marketing and all of those challenges. But I think we still have a very long way to go. And I think there has to be like a sense of urgency when it comes to food security.
It's one thing for us.
That being said,
yes, go ahead.
There is a fundamental. The issue of insecurity is a fundamental one. Also, it's our reality. We face that on a daily. We've had one of our field officers killed by gunmen. I mean, our farmers leave their farm, in the middle of work because of banditry and all that. That is a reality, right? And that also is very, very important and needs to be addressed as soon as possible.
Okay. Let me ask Mr. Sonny, because the farmers are in the states and in various communities in states. Now, Kaduna happens to be one of the beneficiaries of the SAPZ, which you mentioned earlier. And on, I think sometime in the course of this week, we spoke with someone who is also from a beneficiary state, saying that, we ought to have moved faster on this, but we really haven't. And the fear that people would have is this even going to take, is it a hoopla? Is it even going to happen at all? And do you think the special agro-industrial processing zones can address or will address the issues raised by Ms. Aderinoye?
Yes, when you look at the program objectives and the pipeline activities that are guiding the principles and the operations of the special agri-processing zone, you will see that they are fundamentally structured to address some of those challenges that she mentioned. One, a modern agriculture will minimize the physical activity of small-scale holder farmers by providing some mechanization support, which will be able to reduce the drudgery in primary production activity. Funding will come in also so that you'll be able to have quality inputs and timely. And then creation of an ecosystem from the source of primary production down to the processing level, and the relevant linkages is also part of what the Special Agri-Processing Zone tried to resolve. So I'm very confident and optimistic that, yes, Special Agri-Processing Zone has done the right thing by digging through database approach and specific targeting of challenges associated with smallholder farming. Let us not forget that post-harvest handling is also a challenge, and also because we are dealing with seasonal productivity, significantly rain-paid, there is that periodic fluctuation in prices of commodity. At harvest time, price is usually low, and then down the line, it progressively increases. In between, you have middlemen that go in and take advantage of that identified gaps. So structure like this that African Development Bank with the state and federal government are coming up with will now be able to create a balance and the required synergy that will be able, one, to improve output per unit area, reduce the drudgery associated with manual operation in production, resolve the challenge of market access by farmers and access to the quality input, and be able now to reorganize them in a manner that you'll be able to reach them for the required data about productivity and the required capacity building that you need to put on them to improve the quality of output, the quantity of output, and to reduce post-harvest losses. I believe if we are able to reduce our post-harvest losses significantly, improve production on per unit area, and strengthen the marketing system, which will now favor further investment in the strategic storage and probably even the emergence of warehouse receipt system and expansion of commodity exchanges, is what we should be viewing, and I believe it will significantly give us the desired output within the shortest possible time.
Dr. Yusuf, it would seem like this is all on you. Kaduna is just one of, I think, 7 states that are that are the first beneficiaries in this first phase of the project. I'm particularly concerned about this because we understand that money has already been earmarked, $520 million or so, correct me if I'm wrong, and that is just sitting idly somewhere undisbursed. And the land, from what we also have been told, that the states have gotten their land ready and it's ready to go. They're just waiting for the federal government or whoever it is. And I believe that that person will be you as the national project coordinator to get these things off the ground. Exactly where are we on this project, and how soon before Nigerians begin to benefit from the lofty ideals and expected outcomes of this project?
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Ayo, let me first start telling you a little bit about what SAPZ brings to bear. SAPZ is invariably the game changer. It is the answer to diversifying Nigeria's economy with agriculture. And all the things my sister said with regards to looking at agriculture as a business is exactly why we have the SAPZ, changing the narrative from agriculture as a way of life to a profit-making business. And we operate, SAPZ has a 2-system operating model, right? Enhancing productivity, providing infrastructure and access to finance. So these are all the things they said. In sum up, that is what the SAPZ brings to bear. Now, just going back to your question regarding the funds and where we are at SAPZ, yes, to correct you, it's $538 million US, right? Now, these funds are not sitting idly. So I think it's good, a very deep understanding of how development projects work, especially those of subsidiary loan agreements, which the state have. So currently, we've disbursed funds to all the participating states, 8 states in the SAPZ. All of them have funds in their special account. So we have what we call funds in special accounts and funds in direct payment. You can pick any of the states. We have Kano, Kaduna, Kwara, Oyo, Ogun, Cross River, Imo, and the FCT. All of them have money in the special accounts. So usually funds are replenished based on state utilization. How early are they able to deplete that money? So instead of us sitting down the money, actually my KPI is based on how early I'm able to push the states to utilize this funds.
Just a quick one. Yeah, just a quick one, Dr. Yusuf. My apologies for butting in. Exactly how much does each state have now?
Okay. Each state out of the $538 million, like Kano has $131 million. Kaduna has $40.16 million. Kwara has $42.19 million. Oyo has $39.35 million. Ogun has $111.36 million. Imo has $44.73 million, and Cross River has $39.30 million, while FCT has $52.42 million. But that whole amount is not being disbursed to states. So we have what we call annual work plan budgets. This is what this is the technical support we support the states to develop, right? Especially in the first 2 years. So they've developed their annual work plan and budget, and they tell us these are the forecast. This is what they intend to spend. Looking at all the activities they can put in place, specifically mapping their beneficiaries, start developing the ATCs, storage house, connecting infrastructure, access to finance. So each of them, depending on their annual work plan and budget, they get funds disbursed. I can tell you annual work plan and budget of Cross River was 8.9 million. That of Imo was 8.50 million. And that of Kaduna was 1.9 million. And that of Oyo was 7.3 million. Out of that, a chunk of it have been disbursed to them in their special accounts for activities within their thresholds.
I'm just interested, first of all, so that we, the reason for this is maybe to make your job a little easier, at least, and to also help galvanize everyone else. Now, because we had a conversation with someone from Oyo State, the last time, and he was saying that, look, this money should be disbursed and all of this. So is it that some of them are not aware that money has already been disbursed? Exactly what are they, who is supposed to, because I'm wondering exactly how much has been disbursed to each of these states that is sitting in those, whatever names of those accounts that you call them, including the direct beneficiary account. What exactly has been disbursed? What are they supposed to do with it? And for how long do they have? So this doesn't end up another, talk shop, as we say.
Yes. So let me take one state as example. You can choose any state, or we can take Oyo, since you had the privilege of talking to someone in Oyo. The rudiments of project, of course, as you said, need to be understood. It's a very interesting and complex project. So a lot of people have interest to, of course, talk about it, not fully understanding the workings, right? So funds are disbursed directly from the development financing institution to the states. They don't come to the federal government because they signed a subsidiary loan agreement. All the federal government does is to coordinate and ensure those funds are judiciously spent according to the development objectives, because if anything goes wrong, the federal government is held liable because they signed and they guaranteed those funds to those states, right? And they also provide technical implementation support. These are what we do here in the national office. So Oyo, for example, on the 26th of June, Oyo got $725,950 US in their special accounts, right? The annual work plan and budget was approved to the tune of 7.3 million. So this money is with Oyo. So now, how do these states use? Depends on the capacity for you to utilize these funds, deplete these funds. You have an annual work plan and budget with stipulated activities that you want to do, that you want to utilize these funds. Of course, this is a new project, right? Preliminary activities first. You want to clear the land. Of course, you want to start building. You need to design the hubs. Now, quality at entry is very, very important. This is what we need to realize. And you've been talking about different activities that have been done by government and all that, right? So These are the things government want to ensure it's done right. Quality at entry.
Okay.
We don't want to just, let me just finish. We don't want to just move because you have money, just move it into the field and you spend it without looking at where is your input, where is your output. So these states have this money, they have an annual work plan and budget, and there's stipulated procedures on how to spend that money. And they all know that. And states, just to finalize, each state has a project office that are the signatories to those accounts, not the national office, not the federal ministry, not the federal government.
Interesting. Now, to the part that will interest Ms. Aderinoye, we understand from conversations with the SA to the AFDB president on industrialization, Professor Ilaro Yinka, that it's a government-enabled, private sector-backed project. Now, please explain that to us. If money has been disbursed to the states, it's only natural for those who may have access to it to want to corner it. How is that kind of thing insulated? And how does the private sector people get into it in a way that they actually lead the project as opposed to government officials getting in the way as usual?
Okay, thank you. So I think the...
No, just a second. It's actually for Dr. Kabiru. Just a second. Madam, just a second. It's actually for Dr. Kabiru because I know that that question will interest you. That's why I'm asking him.
Okay. Thank you very much. So private sector. The SAPZ is government-enabled, private sector-led, right?
Yeah.
Why did we bring the private sector? It's for sustainability, right? And just to answer a question she raised about farmers' ability to pay for inputs, even though it's subsidized. Now, we need to understand that it's time we move away from gratis, right? You know, a serious person from perhaps I don't want to use the word unserious, but if a person has skin in the game, then you know he's serious. He's doing agriculture to make profit. So that is why we specifically look for farmers that are able, right? And sometimes we also support farmers. We also have different growth scheme project to metamorphose farmers in different chains. Now let's come back to the question you asked, how do private sector leverage? Now we need to put into context that this is taxpayers' money, right? So you don't collect taxpayers' money as government and give to private sector. No, you don't do that. What you do is provide the public infrastructure. So these loans are catalytic loans to de-risk the investment, to make agriculture a profit-making business, right? To reduce the operating expenditure. So if we provide you with connecting roads from your production site to your processing facility, we've done a lot for you as a private sector. At least we have supported you in reducing your post-harvest loss. If we build a dam and irrigation facility close to the farms, we've done a lot for the farmers. This means they're able to produce all year, wet season and dry season. If we support an SME within a seed system SME, because you know, for you to get the required yield, quality seed is very important, and you need financing, right? So we support these SMEs to get access to finance to develop quality and standards, especially when you want to produce commodities for exports. There's a certain level of standards and traceability that need to put in place. Mechanization. Instead of giving you free tractors, why don't we support young people into agriculture, right? Train them, coordinate them, provide them with access to finance to get these tractors that they lease to these farmers for service. So you've done now a continuous ecosystem, more like a circular economy that feeds itself continuously.
Okay.
So this is how we bring private sector, by reducing their capital expenditure and reducing the operating cost.
You know, we could go on and on. My apologies, Dr. Yusuf. We could go on and on because it's sounding very exciting, more and more exciting. And just when we're about to get into the meat of the matter, the time is really speeding. But by way of final words, maybe I should ask Mr. Sonny first of all, and please, if you can answer this in 30 seconds, that Dr. Yusuf has said that the ball is in the courts of the states. What's Kaduna waiting for? You have money already, that's what he said.
Yes, as he rightly said, there are preliminary activities, setting up the project office, then doing the basic design, passing through all the processes that will now be able to activate the real activities relating to the infrastructural development program that needed to be done. So that is what we are into at the moment.
Okay.
So that is what we are in.
Okay. Well, Mr. Adenioye, do these all sound exciting to you, or it's just talk until you start to experience it?
Yeah, so I'll say we need to be data-driven, right? We need to have data. We need to do a lot of research. And more importantly, I'm interested in the implementation of all these policies, and also how do I put this now? The monitoring of this policies after it's been implemented. Then we can now say, okay, it's all worth it. But for now, I guess we'll see how it goes. But more importantly, there is a lot of work to be done, and we just better get at it.
Clearly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've only started this conversation, and Dr. Kabir Yusuf, as we've spoken over and over again before, communication is it. Giving people out information and not really communicating to get feedback from them might not really achieve your own desired goals, but hey, I guess we'll wait and time will tell we'll be able to achieve these lofty ideals. Thank you so much for everyone for being a part of this conversation. Truly appreciate it. I'm very sure that we're going to continue to have this conversation for a while. Let me thank you, Rahman Adenioye, CEO, Rashak Farms and Agro Allied Limited, joined us from our Abuja studio, as well as Mr. Sabi Usani, who is a former CEO, Kaduna State Agricultural Development Agency, joined us from Kaduna, and Dr. Kabir Yusuf, National Coordinator, Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zones, joined us from our Abuja studio. Gentlemen and ladies, thank you so much for your time today. Now, we move to something that is as African as agriculture. What is it? I'll let you know after this break. Were you dancing? That's very African, right? Very, very African, no doubt about it. Well, let's talk about proud African roots. Whether they are connected or not, you hear from these two people who will be talking to us now. But just to let you know that Proud African Roots is a leading creative arts company in Lagos, Nigeria, dedicated to producing world-class content for children and families. It celebrates African heritage through theater, music, storytelling, and multimedia, fostering leadership values and cultural pride. Two people are here with me this morning. Bolanle Edwards is co-founder, Proud African Roots. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
As well as Patrick Edwards, also co-founder, Proud African Roots.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
No cheating. But ladies first, so let me start with you, madam. So tell us a bit about the origin story for Proudly African Roots.
Okay, so this is always my favorite part. So, what our forefathers did back in the days with storytelling, it was part of our culture that we probably have begun to lose right now. And so with storytelling, they were very intentional. It's also because they wanted to just while away time and all of that. They told stories, they gave proverbs, there was music, there was arts, there was dancing. And that was because they were intentional about how they wanted the community to be, the sanity, the mental health. And there was a particular way they wanted the children to grow up. And so whatever values they wanted to inculcate into a child, they put it in a story, they put it in a song. And that's basically what has inspired what we do today, trying to bring the values back to the children, back to society. And so we're doing that with storytelling. And we're doing that as well with the character, a grandmother character, who is like a merge between the old and the new, the future. So it's Grandma Wura. She's trying to preserve the African culture that we've always had with our ancestors and everything with regards to storytelling and inculcating values into the children. And She's doing it with music, she's doing it with art, and she's colorful. The children today can relate with her and all of that. So yes.
Interestingly, the grammar of the future will be iPad tapping grammars.
Absolutely.
Right, Mr. Patrick?
Yeah.
As an African, children and teen content producers, how does your work contribute to the development of the nation?
Well, content is very key, mostly when you talk about imputing certain values. Using a case study like Sesame Street, Sesame Street really played a huge part in the Black society in America. And to us here, we found that visuals plays a very big role to children's and child's development in their way of reasoning and so many other things too. And as African content producer, we thought it's necessary to really begin to focus on these areas. One thing about us is that we are using the art as an alternative form to educate children about leadership. But at the same time, for you to engage these children, you have to realize that they have a very short attention span. And we are deliberate in bringing up certain values like integrity, teamwork, which will make every child be relevant in a workspace, and putting that in different content that we are creating. And of course, we know that, in the next 10 years, every 10-year-old will be 20. And that Africa, Nigeria to be specific, has the youngest demography in the world. That's a workforce. That is something that we should take as a challenge. We should be deliberate about to start imputing values, skills into these children that will make them relevant.
How did we lose that? I mean, from what Mrs. Edwards said here, we had it, and we had it strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how did we lose it? What did we stop doing?
I think the opening up to allowing things coming into our space had a way of downgrading certain salient values that made us stand out as a family. Imputing on too much, with all due respect, bringing too many foreign content into our local space had a way of just downplaying or taking certain things that used to be paramount in our lives and just trivializing it. For example, family time. Check out, we used to have children's belts. It was something that was respected by every different media, but along the line, I think trying to be too Western, with all due respect, kind of made us feel that our localness was no longer relevant. But in actual sense, that was what made us who we are as Africans. And trying to impute that, bring it to the children. Now they've been so many things have gone in through their head. Mm-hmm. That right now, when you talk about culture, they look at localness. What is localness? But one of the things we are deliberate is cultural confidence. Because when they are out there, they will begin to, it comes to their face that you're African. There's nothing you can do about it. But we want to start changing the narratives. How do you see yourself as an African?
Yeah.
And these are the things that we are deliberating. And we are calling on different organizations and persons to see, let's make this deliberate.
It was interesting in all you said now, Mr. Edwards, is when you go outside this country, you're in somebody else's culture, like you don't know. But, madam, share your thoughts on the current state and availability of local content for children.
Okay, so we have a few people there. There's a handful of media children's content producers right now, and those who seem to be there are doing a great work. We have animators who are doing amazing work. When you see their illustrations, their animation, it's amazing. You can't even believe those those works were produced right here in the country, and it's been quite a challenge, right? But it's been beautiful to have a foundation like that of MasterCard Foundation, and in partnership with CC Hub, coming into a space like this to say, you know what, we want to enable you, we want to empower you, and we're giving you everything that you've got. We're going to back you up to do this. That has made the work really, really easy. I mean, in comparison to what we had in the past.
Perhaps one of the challenges there is the viability and sustainability.
Yes.
I remember Animal Farm. I grew up on Animal Farm. It's not Sesame Street. It's not Sesame Street. And I grew up on Tales by Moonlight.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't know about you.
I grew up on all of them.
Good. Now, so it's not that we didn't have it. And as we had them in English language, so did we have them even in local languages for stations who, you know, whose primary was local languages. So that's the background of that, the question. So what are the challenges those faced? And what are the challenges that this current wave that you are talking about, what are the challenges that it also faces?
Okay, so Tales by Moonlight is dear to me. Those are the things I grew up on. I remember sitting with my father, with my mom, and, you know, we would sit as a family and we would enjoy, and they would discuss afterwards. Like what you said, some of the challenges as well economically. Parents are so busy. Things are all, and so they're not having that enough time. That is why we're also here to also help the families as well. And talking about, you can't put a child in front of the Tales by Moonlight you watched back then, right now. You know, you can't do that because their appetite has increased. They're used to the
appetite is more sophisticated.
Yeah.
Yes, very, very sophisticated. And so as a result of that, it's quite expensive producing children's content. And you know, children, it's either they like it or they don't like it, and they will tell you they don't like it. So you need to do your research. You need to make sure that everything, all the elements you need to make it what they would, the look and feel and all of that, you have to make sure you can actually produce that kind of work while also being intentional about what you're trying to teach the child through the content.
Interesting, because I tell my children, you have to give me a reason for watching it. You have to convince me that there is value. I asked my two of them who were sitting, little kids under 10, and I asked one of them, "What are you learning? What you're watching?" And the other one said, "Nothing." I just moved on, and so some of them really do know, but the challenge there is the content that we produce today. We have to literally take it to them at home. Now, it is through these digital devices.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw that video of children. They gave them, they've been used to using the tabs and digital phones and all. And so they now said, okay, they wanted to take it away from them. And it became civil war. Now, so as she said, the challenge of the olden days is that of time. You can't give that the content that we still hold very dear to those children of today. You can't give them Atom Ant, you can't give them Captain Gadget, you can't give them, I don't know how Tom and Jerry has survived. So now, all of it will come on digital devices. At the same time, we have to be sure that we are not giving them things that they'll be hooked on. And so on the one hand is you want to teach, on the other hand is you don't want addiction.
Yes.
Balance, please.
So for every parent, they are worried about screen time for their children. And you know, there's a way too much screen time can affect the child's mental health. So a parent wants to be sure that if my child is online, he's safe there. So for us as a company, through the help of MasterCard Foundation and CC Hub, we're creating something very unique. We're creating an app that is going to engage the child, mostly in the area of the arts. And at the same time, they do it with their parents together. This has a way of creating interaction. It has a way of also making the child and the parent engage in such process. And it also has a way of ensuring that the content is being secured. Of course, the way we are doing it in the way we're still working on it is an app, Grammarura's Hub, to teach the children in the area of acting, professional acting, cooking, crafts, simplified in a way that the child would understand. Now that is bringing value. So it's rest assured that the parent that you don't need to be afraid. And of course, it's engaging whereby it is the child and the parent that are going to be doing those learnings together. And you just want to be sure that your child is not being taken advantage. And at the same time, we're also working on offline. So there's a curriculum we're doing, it's going to be online and offline, so that the child doesn't just get addicted to only online. There needs to be some physical engagement. And this is what I always tell parents. You don't need too many expensive things. It's not just taking your children out there. Sit them down and tell them a story about your childhood. Make it deliberate. It will amaze you when you sit your child and you tell them, this is what I went through when I was young. I climbed a tree. And while I was climbing the tree, all this will begin to make them have conversations. Because in the long run, the only thing the child can hold about their family or his or her family are memories. Yeah. And you cannot create memories just with the child going into the devices and all. It's going to be a challenge, but you just have to look for how to make that work. Engage them without these devices once in a while. Sit them down. Tell them things that will make them think about your experience. Of course, you as a gentleman, you know when you went through growing up. Tell them, put that in a story form. Do that. I remember myself and my wife, we used to do that, my partner too at the same time. On Fridays, we have Friday movie nights, buy popcorn, sit down together, and we choose something to watch, or we discuss, or we tell stories. Of course, add some dramatic things to that. And the kids now, they are teenagers, and they said, Daddy, those were one of our most wonderful times together that we were together. So, as a parent, you have to create that dynamics for your own home.
Absolutely.
Because very soon, the 10-year-old in the next 10 years will become an adult. And they will believe once they start going to university, don't think you can call them back again. That's just telling you this is a new phase. So you have to be deliberate about what you... I just think that as parents, we need to play our role in this regard.
Yeah.
Madam, what he's just said now is, and I'd like you to be honest. As we said earlier, the taste buds of today's kids, I don't know how it developed. I don't know who gave it to them. Whatever we had was whatever we were given was what we had.
Absolutely.
Today, they can search out anything.
Absolutely.
You give a child a device, say, good. Let me see how you will mess it up. Let me see how you will use it. Before you know what is happening, the child has opened it, has gone to the corners that even you who bought it with whatever million naira, you have no idea.
Yeah.
So, parents, you said it the other time, don't have much time. But this is a must-do for them. How do you think that the parents, because at the end of the day, all of these is about getting people interested and hooked on this thing with their kids. What would you recommend for parents about this, creating this family time? Because from what I'm hearing from both of you, this project will be best achieved with parents working with their children. So help people understand how to manage this in a way that they can do it together, even though they don't seem to have much time.
So one of the things that we have done as well with children, not just our children, but other children that have been a part of what we do in Proud Africa Roots, is we get them engaged. We give them assignments. We get them to, okay, you've learned this much. Okay, fine, or this little. Let me see how you express yourself in that area. And so it's important for us on the app, even if the parent might not be expected to stay all through with the app, but there are certain elements in the app and features in the app whereby parents can be told this is the progress of your child, given progress reports on how the child is doing in different aspects of the hub, because this child is in the hub and learning handcrafts, learning how to cook, learning how to act. And they're not just doing that, it's like a mirror. They are seeing themselves in other children who also are involved in the productions that we're doing right now. However, these other aspects whereby the parents must still have that physical engagement with the children. You have to plan it, you have to make time for it, the way you plan for other things. This is a must. You must plan for it. However, the app is there to help you, to make it easy. But there's still that aspect that involves you being involved, yes.
Wait, before we... Why grandma?
I love that you asked. So, you know, every home has a grandmother.
Yes.
And it represents heritage. It represents culture. As I'm speaking to you now, just think about your grandmother. So many things comes into your memory. Things, how they utilize little resources and they fed the whole neighborhood. How they took every child as their own, how they were stern in the certain decision making, and at the same time they were able to teach you certain values. You know, to some of us then that were very naughty, grandma was the reset button that would reset your life. You know, but at the same time, those values from grandmothers are so strong. So we just looked at what can we do that we give these parents the assurance and confidence that whatever content we are bringing is going to make sense, and at the same time that can interact with the children and make them feel safe. So we had to create a grandmother character. A whole lot of research went into it. We had to work with certain professionals outside the country and within the country. For example, we had to work with a professional voice coach to teach how the grandma can talk like a grandmother. A lot of research. And at one point I was saying, why are we spending this amount of funds just to create a grandmother? But it now started making sense, because anywhere Grandma Wura goes, it's very igniting.
Nostalgic. Yeah.
And because we want us to use that to represent our culture. Our future is our culture. Our culture is our future.
You know, I said something the other time. The grandma of the future is iPad touching, smartphone. The grandma of the future is the TikTok generation.
Exactly. We're going to meet them there.
So, I'm talking the grandma of the future.
So Grandma Wura, for example, Grandma Wura can dance break dance. She can dance the cultural dance.
That is grandma.
So at the same time, she is very stern when she's making a decision. For example, we were very big in the theater space, so we'll be doing theater, a lot of shows in Terra Culture where Grandma Wura comes with a whole crew, about 100, to do a story, simple story, but the way she tells it and takes you back with the songs and everything, it just cuts across that this grandma, you want to hear Grandma Wura, of course, with her costumes and all, just a way to preserve our heritage.
Okay. I hope I don't meet Grandma Wura in the market. Now, madam, back to you. Is there a role for government in all of this? Because, okay, well, let me just ask it straight. Is there a role for, well, maybe there is a role, but the question will now be how, and do you see it happening? We've heard that part of the ways in which the United States of America, for instance, has preserved itself and continues to foster itself on people is through Hollywood, storytelling, instrument and all.
Absolutely.
So do you see it as something that can, should, or will happen in our country?
Oh, yes. Like you said, Hollywood, government, they made that happen. They gave the platform and all of that. They gave the opportunities, and yes, so that can work. And like Patrick rightly said initially when we started the discussion, and he said, this is an alternative form of education. So it's not just entertainment, it's actually education for economic development and prosperity. Because by the time you train the new generation of workforce and equip them with the right values, you have just trained, you have just made economic prosperity attainable on a deeper and higher level. And so the government being a part of this, because it's also something that can be part of the educational curriculum, is very important to us. While we also need, everything is not just on the government alone. We need partners. We need private partners from the private sector. We've had that experience in the past, and we still welcome more of these partners, NGOs, and of course, what MasterCard is doing, MasterCard Foundation is doing in partnership with the CC Hub is also part of all of this partnerships.
Is there a website?
Oh, www.proudafricanroots.com.
www.proudafricanroots.com.
Yes, roots with a S. S
Okay,
for
that's
sugar.
it on the screen.
Yes.
If you don't want to tap the www, you're not sure how many there are, just go to proudafricanroots.com.
Yeah.
Right? And it will still take you there. Thank you so much for being here this
you.
morning.
Thank you so much.
Paula Edwards is co-founder, Proud African Roots, as well as Patrick Edwards.
Thank you very much.
Co-founder.
Such a pleasure.
Thank you for
having us.
All the best all the time.
Thank you very much.
All right, part of what we heard in this conversation is that Proud African Roots, through this Grandma's Hub, is talking also about leadership. That's part of our next conversation. Now we have heard since 2005, everything rises and falls on leadership. So does everything rise and fall on advanced leadership? I don't know. You can hear that this morning. Well, Advanced Leadership Conference is designed to develop, equip, empower, and deploy young and emerging leaders with unique skills and tools to help live life well and lead well in their chosen spheres of influence. This year's conference theme is to be revealed here this morning by the team lead, the project team lead of the Advanced Leadership Conference, Mr. Abiodun Famojuro. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Along with a member of the planning committee, Mr. Paul Adekweba. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure being here.
So, first of all, let me begin with you, Mr. Famojuro. So, what's this? I mean, we've heard, that what it's all about, conference and all. Leadership is a major challenge in our country, and we thought, first of all, do you think people understand leadership?
The answer is no.
Oh.
There is a dangerous assumption about leadership that a lot of people believe they know what leadership is all about. So some
I don't know the ones in Abuja and Government House.
Well, I'm staying away from that aspect, and I'm staying safe with you. A lot of people think they know what leadership is all about, and there is a gap. It's not only in Nigeria; it's a global phenomenon. And most times there is an assumption, this is what leadership should be. Leadership is service. Leadership is commitment of values, intrinsic values that you can share with people, that you can lead people, exactly strengthening followers as well. So the Advanced Leadership Conference, so the assumption that a lot of people know what leadership is all about is not true. It's not something that you just say, this is what I think. No, you mustn't think. You must be intentional with the concept, with the life of leadership. Everybody is leading in one sphere or the other. Very few acknowledge that they are leading.
In other words, they don't know that they're leading.
They don't know that they're leading.
Interesting. Mr. Adekuba.
Yes.
Same question. Whether or not people understand leadership. Because, you know, when I said that, you know, isn't it for those who are in government offices? Because there are those who believe that, look, leadership is those people. It's not me.
Well, just like what Bjorn said, I think that's an assumption, and usually a lot of people get it wrong. For example, it's not just about those maybe in Abuja or those other places. Right from even from the family, this leadership starts, there. So it's not until you are seen as the head in quote. Everyone is supposed to lead. Like I have children. I'm supposed to portray good attitude for my children to see. Okay, I want to do what I see my father, portray. So it starts from there.
So when you hear people say our leaders, how does it hit you?
Well, like I said, that's not so. It's an assumption, anyways. It's not supposed to be. At one point or the other, we are supposed to lead. It's not. You see a man maybe throw something on the floor. He says, "Oh, Nigeria is bad." It starts from that person. So once we have that consciousness, like it's not all about those at the top that are leading. I am leading, someone is following, and I should portray that good leadership skill.
There is an addition to that. Before you lead, you were a follower. In your followership status, are you leading? He used the example of someone throwing dirt away. I mean, the rains come, the canals are flooded with non-recyclable elements. You feel in your leadership space, personally.
No, it's the leaders that didn't pack it.
No, because you're the one that dropped the refuse in that space. So when we talk about them, it creates an exclusive mindset. Every follower at some point in time will eventually become a leader. And each and every one of us has a role to play. There is a leader in you. Yeah. Acknowledge it. Be intentional about it. When you are not intentional, you labor in the place of assumption. Assumption is the lowest level of knowledge. It's very dangerous.
Anyway, let's move on. Because, the confusion that has been created over time, because some people venture, they want to be at the top. They asked to be elected. They asked to get a job, and they did get the job. And there are those who say, look, if they are not doing it right, why should I be expected to do any different? And I had a radio program back in time where the presenter, the resource person also always said something. Every society gets the police it deserves. And this guy is a security fellow. He must, of course, I expect that he knows what he's talking about. Every society gets the police it deserves. In other words, every society gets the leadership or leaders it deserves.
That statement looks true on the surface, but is it the truth? There are persons, one of the things that has happened with the followership and the leadership direction is that there are persons who, let me put it this way, when a young boy is being groomed, being taught about leadership and the concept of followership and sacrifice and values and character, we should teach him early. What is happening, the leadership crisis is that we're having domestically, globally, is that when people are formed and they get to the point of the leadership at the top, we expect them to do wonders. When he was 14 years old, what values did he embrace? If a young man is deficient in the place of character, he's not truthful. You've identified it as a young man, and you think that when he becomes a senior leader, a top leader, he will all of a sudden become truthful. From the followership place, there was a deficiency, there was error. It wasn't corrected on time. And so when you say, oh, the nation deserves the leaders, it started from when they were much younger, when they were followers, when they were not in the limelight. We didn't correct it. We didn't arrest it. We allowed them and said he will get better. He will change. He did not change. A young man that is stealing, he used to steal 5,000 naira, 2,000 naira. No value understanding because he had a poverty mindset. He gets into a place where he has access to billions. He's an institutional But the leadership communication, why shouldn't I steal?
I've not heard that before.
Yes.
Institutional thief.
Yeah. He becomes, and that leadership guy, so the Advanced Leadership Conference is intended to not only bridge the gap, but to bring correction. We're in our 7th year. It's not a talk shop. We have Advanced Leadership Initiative. We have Advanced Leadership Academy. We're having a boot camp for teenagers. All that concept about the next generation, that generation is here. They're not next. They're already here. And they are the ones we should invest significantly. They are the ones that are asking questions, the question you ask. So if they're up there, they're doing this, what about me? You say, no, you are different. You have to be different. We do global benchmark standards. The teenager in Nigeria and the teenager in Japan, the teenager in Luxembourg, the teenager in Australia that has values. We're having leaders in certain countries, the age demographic is coming 34, 40, and they're doing phenomenal things. I don't know the age of the Argentinian president, I can't remember. But he made certain things. He communicated leadership. Leadership is sacrifice, but we must start early. We must start communicating the substance of leadership, not the talk. Because there are values, intrinsic values that we're not engaging people. So I think I know what a leader is. For some people, leadership is title. For some people, leadership is power without responsibility. For some people, leadership is opportunities for self-aggrandizement. The Advanced Leadership Conference is addressing all those things. We've been addressing it for 7 years. We have people from all walks of life engaging. And when they come, they speak from their substance. They don't speak esoteric. They don't speak theory. They speak practical. So that and we have fireside chats, question and answer sessions, they are uncensored. So it's not that someone says, these are the questions you will ask me. No, we will throw questions at you. At what age did you start your leadership journey? So that is what the Advanced Leadership Conference is driving. And this year, okay, when you're ready, let me know so we can unveil the theme for this year.
Okay, so what's the theme for this year?
Yeah, the theme is lead up. Yeah, lead up. Yes.
Okay.
So, like he made mention of it, teenagers. You see, I think at Advanced Leadership, this conference this year, we're being intentional about inculcating the attitude of leading to our teens. There's an adage in Yoruba that says, it's better you tame an Iroko tree while it's still in its early formative years than when it's fully grown. So we want to, at the Advanced Leadership, we are putting those values into the lives of our teens. So for them to have that leadership mindset at that tender age. So
essentially this conference is for teenagers?
No, it's not. It's part of what we are, like what Biodun
Okay, so this conference, tell us more about who are the people to attend, when is it happening?
Okay, so he's going to answer most of those questions. But this year we'll be starting on the 31st of August. I think the time is 8 a.m. And so we have leaders from the person that God gave the vision, Bisi Akonde, whom we call the convener. We call him the inspirer. And Kola Oyinei, we have Samuel Ontoba. He's also going to be one of those. So I think you should...
Okay, so August 31st is the date. The time is 8 a.m. We've assembled the faculty. So Advanced Leadership Conference has 3 expressions. I was talking about very young, we have the young adults and youth, the youth and young adults. We have the teenage section. We also have the children's section. So there are 3-pronged approach. The main conference will have certain facilitators in the main auditorium. We have a dedicated teenage section. So it's not only, it's 360 holistic. And then the children will be taught leadership as well. The persons that will be speaking, we have the CEO of Opportunity Global, Kola Oyinei. We have a senior franchise manager from Coca-Cola. She's going to be coming to speak to us. I think that's Phoebe Damiasolo. We have someone that used to work, she used to be the chief of staff in Total Energies, Chisom Ajero. She's coming to speak. We have Aguroko, Jesus House, United Kingdom. Aguroko has been mentor of mentors, leaders of leaders. He's had King Charles celebrate his birthday in his church. And his relevance and influence has gone We have the Inspirer, BC Akonde, the convener. He's also a John Maxwell certified leadership coach. He's going to be speaking. Oluwagbemileke Adeboye will be one of our speakers as well. Sam Olorutoba will be speaking. So it is holistic. The faculty, the person that were Bolaji Banjoko. When I say Bolaji Banjoko, some persons will not get the name. He's also known. He's more known as BJ Sachs. Yeah. One of the things about him in attending this conference this year, being part of the Advanced Leadership Conference this year, Bolaji Banjoko has been able to sit in two worlds, in the marketplace and in the church place. Many of our facilitators have done the same. And now he's gone global. So we're going to be asking him questions. How did you do it? Because some persons believe if you're a leader in this space, don't come and be a leader in that space. No, that's not right. Every space you find yourself, lead. And lead up is invest in yourself, strengthen yourself to be able to bring up the followers around you. Some people have been leading and they've come to a conclusion. I've been doing this thing for 30 years. I've seen everything. It's a lie. They've entered redundancy. They've entered stagnation. To lead up, you must grow up. Not just go up. You must consistently grow, consistently innovate, consistently improve, consistently learn. I mean, the technology, we didn't have AI 30 years ago. AI is here. AI is impacting how we do things. ChatGPT, in the studio as we are, many things are happening. Your station, over 1.4 billion views on YouTube. You, as a station, you grew up. I remember watching you much younger. So, and you are a leader. Your station is a leader in its space. But you can't say, oh, we're a leader. We won enough awards. We're not doing anything anymore. No. So the Advanced Leadership Conference is intended to challenge the status quo of the mindset of the life of the person and bring it into practical application.
If you think that because you have poured good words on me, I will not ask you.
Well, we're at home. We're at home. It's okay.
Okay. Now, so first of all, is there a website that people can?
Yes. If they enter the advancedconference.org, they will be able to get more details. If they enter youthprovince1.org, they will be able to get more details as well.
Okay.
Advancedconference.org, youthprovince1.org.
Okay. Now, this conference, is it happening in Lagos?
It's in Lagos. Yeah. It's taking place at the Maranatha Church off Soloi in Bagada. Okay. It's in close proximity. The Maranatha Church is a significant landmark. I think it's 21/23 Shueton Street in Lagos. It's a very massive facility that we're using. We're partnering with the church and the province for it.
Okay. Is it just one day?
It's a one-day conference. Okay. It's a one-day conference. Okay. We intend to maximize time. We're planning this year. There's the introduction of table setting. So somewhere in between the conference, we want the persons who attend to have a discussion right there and there in the course of the conference and ask. Like you didn't threaten. You said you will ask us more tougher questions. We want them to ask tougher questions because the quality of your questions should determine the quality of responses you will get. If the questions are not substantial enough, you will not hit it hard enough.
Okay. Is there registration necessary?
Please go ahead.
Yes, it's we can register online, but for most of the people that will be coming, majority will be registering on site.
On site.
So once you come, you make your registration.
We're very much at home with you being able to attend. The venue is the RCCG Maranatha Church. Okay. The landmark is very easy on Google Maps. Come. We want as many persons who want a shift in the leadership direction, not only of Nigeria, of where they are personally and every engagement. We want that to happen. So do not be restricted by whether you've registered or you've not. We have provision for you. We're structured enough to be able to accommodate you for that purpose.
So what are the likely takeaways?
The likely takeaways, number one likely takeaway is a practical transformation of where you are to where you want to be as a leader in your space. The movement of followers, of persons who have resigned themselves, I'm just a follower. I don't have influence. Nobody's following me. Not true. That is a second takeaway. A confrontation of your present status quo. You are more than this. If you think you are your best, then you don't understand. You're not at your best. There's always a better. There's always a next level. That's why you are leading up, and you should not go alone. As many persons as you possibly can take with you, take them. Encourage them to come with you. Challenge them.
Now, how much of a mind shift are we to expect, Mr. Adikpegba? I'm asking that because, as we highlighted earlier, it's so much easier, in fact, so much more convenient to point fingers. It's them. Got nothing to do with me. And I can ask this question because I don't know the number of times I've interviewed people and we've heard something like, our leaders, our leaders, our leaders. Of course, there are those who are our leaders, but then we minimize the impact we make as leaders in our own right.
Okay, thank you very much. I think in the car we were discussing with the convener, Bisi Akonde, and he was saying 50% of leadership should be you, as in take great time in leading you. So the mindset is that people should know that leadership starts with me. It's not about the person up there. Now there is a queue, people want to buy fuel, and you see people scrambling. Nobody wants to be orderly. The moment people understand the concept of leadership, it's all about me. I don't have to throw something on the floor. That's not the fault of the president. There is the traffic light. It says stop, wait, and all that. And you see people. I live in Bagada. When you do things right, for example, you're waiting, the light says stop, and you're there, and you see cars leaving you. So they look at you as the person doing the wrong thing. Meanwhile, you're doing the right thing. So at the advanced leadership, we want people to have a mindset. They are going out to be a better person. And it's not all about the Christian fold. It's to the workplace. Be a better person in your workplace, be a better person in the family. Just for them to have this understanding, leadership starts with me. Once I can take care of myself, then I have the ability to lead others.
Now, he began the other time by talking about underscoring the place of the family in this whole leadership conversation. I once had the privilege of asking, I moderated a panel session with Dr. Sam Adeyemi and Dr. Anike Adeyemi. And the question that I asked, one of them, I think, was Dr. Adeyemi, Dr. Sam Adeyemi, I said, do you think parents see themselves as leaders? The answer he gave was, not that you talk about it, I don't think they do.
Yeah.
Now, that's a problem, isn't it?
Yeah. It's more than a problem, it's a crisis. It's a crisis because I agree with it. I have a conversation this morning with a couple, and with holidays will soon be rounding off in Nigeria. Summer holiday will soon be over, September. How many children were with their parents during this holiday? Most of them, the moment this long holiday comes up, we offload them. And we offload the children, aunties, uncles, we offload them to pedophilia opportunities, we offload them to sexual assault. It shouldn't be. The first role model of a son should be his father.
His father, yeah.
The first role model of the daughter should be the mother. And you have to lead. I have my children, my son started writing a book. And the title of the book is Lessons My Father Taught Me. He's not a teenager yet. And he was writing voraciously. And his mother said, what are you doing? And he said, I'm writing a book. So what was it about? He said, Lessons My Father Taught Me. When I went on a journey, I came back, she gave me the book. I was literally in tears of joy. But I'm not there yet, because that would be dangerous. Parents are abdicating. Someone comes to check up on you. You've made up your mind, I don't want to see this person. You tell your daughter, go and tell him I'm not up to him. Your child believes that lying is normal in this house.
Wait, does that still happen?
It does.
In fact, it's a different ballgame now.
Yeah.
You don't just say, don't tell them I'm not at home. Tell them that even though daddy's car is here, daddy is not around. Because that person sees your car in the compound and says, so we're embellishing the story. And so every time, there's no in the family space. That is why the Advanced Leadership Conference, teenagers, children, The young adults and youth, they're all going to be there. Married, single, everybody. So
Parents.
we're not leaving any space. It does happen. Because by the time, ask a teenager, what are the things you love the most about your mother? Some of them will be quiet. Why? They don't want to appear offensive. What is the thing you love the most about your dad? They won't be able to talk. In the advanced, 8 is 8. There is nothing called African time.
Mm-hmm.
The word African time used in the Nigerian palace is another word for discipline. A Nigerian mother traveled abroad, went for the graduation of her daughter. They said all parents should be seated by, I think, 9 a.m. At 9 a.m., she was fixing makeup and fixing food to take. Her friend who got a card to go with her was seated at 9. Mommy shows up at 11. The daughter says, it's because I love you. I will not speak offensively to you. How do you travel all the way from Nigeria to attend my graduation and you are still late? And you came into the country days ahead. So the Advanced Leadership Conference, leading up, a child daddy says, we must never be late. It doesn't speak well. I have a statement. A man who is habitually late for every meeting will never keep his word.
If you don't keep to time.
If you don't keep to time. A man who is habitually late for meetings will not keep his word. Mark that man. I'm sorry I'm late. I'm sorry I've just come. I'm sorry. No.
And sorry, maybe just to add, look at two figures. We have Abraham and we have the prophet or Eli. The Bible says concerning Abraham, he said, I know Abraham will teach his children to follow me. So Abraham was a perfect example that his children could look up to and become. But the other guy failed. They were unruly, they did a whole lot. And for the fact that Eli could not take hold of his family as a parent, as a good leader, God had to punish his children, which obviously led to his death. So leadership, like I said, is not just about the religious space
or the
in the family or the people at the top.
So parents also must see themselves
as leaders. Yeah.
Okay. The whole idea of parents running away from their responsibilities, they say, I don't have your time. Go and watch TV. Go take your tablet. We're allowing other people to raise our children. We're not the role models. We're not modeling leadership.
We're allowing AI. Okay. Well, so the date again?
August
31st.
This coming Saturday, August 31st, 8 a.m. at the Maranatha Church, the RCC Maranatha Church is the venue, Bagada, Lagos. Okay. Advanced Leadership Conference.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. Mr. Abiodun Famojiro is the project team lead, as well as Mr. Paul Adebugba, member of Planning Committee of the Advanced Leadership Conference. Again,
thank you for having us
time today.
It's been a pleasure.
Okay, we've been talking about leadership, leading kids and all. And I think that is what is next this morning. Sending children to go and sit down and watch TV. Screen time. Is that good leadership? I don't know. Maybe it is in some case, in some way, but we'll find out on Lifestyle. So, tech. I mean, almost every program, every episode we've had this morning, especially from talking about proud African roots and advanced leadership, we've been talking about children. And this particular episode is a lot more about that. Screen time for kids. We've treated something similar to this earlier. We want to talk about it again. Excuse me. Because children's heavy reliance on screen media has raised serious public health issues with a mighty high possibility or risk of cognitive, linguistic, and social environmental limitations. So I remember years ago, 10 years now, I did a tiny bit of research and I found out that screen time, too much screen time, actually reduces the brain capacity of children. And guess what? Because screen time is addictive, children would rather take the risk of spending time with the screen and deal with the consequences later in life. Well, they won't know the consequences until it is too ridiculously late. But then we have responsibility as parents, as guardians, as people who watch over them, who moderate their lives, at least when they are not able to by themselves. That's why this morning we want to talk about healthy screen time for kids, especially now that they're on holiday. And of course, yes, the holiday will soon be over, but is there something remedial we can still do within the little time we have? Akin Bitoye is here with us. He's a tech advisor and digital security enthusiast. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
Healthy screen time for kids will sound like a goal too high to reach, isn't it?
Yes, it will. This is a bit, my opinion, healthy screen time for kids will look like no screen time at all. When I talk about my generation, it will sound like I'm a cake. I'm a very young fellow. But back then, 4 p.m., bang, 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 with those test lines, the TV comes up, the station starts broadcasting. By 10 p.m., they shut down. But now it's 24 hours, on demand. Whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want, on whatever screen you want it. So children do not have the ability, they don't have the self-control, the self-restraint to say, oh, time out, time to go to bed, or time to do what I want to do. The screen is addictive for a purpose. Those people, well, we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, that they are experts, psychologists, behavioral scientists that plan and curate this content for the screens, depending on whether the phone screen, the tablet screen, the laptop screen, the television, or any other screen that you might find out there. So they do this. Those images are flashy for a purpose, to engage and hold the attention of those kids. For example, you see toddlers, come and eat. Their face or their eyeballs are focused on the screen because those cartoon images or whatever it is they're watching engages them. Remember Baby Shark? Has over 1 billion views on YouTube. So it falls on the parents or the guardians to help children make better use of their time. Come to think of it, there was no tablet, mobile phones, or all of these screens when man landed on the moon. How did they do it? Yes, the rudimentary form of the computers were there, but they were reading books in the library. So yes, I know the argument now is kids take classes online, they learn online, everything they do is online. Yes, however, they can do it. You know, when you are reading a physical book, a notification cannot pop up. Actually, I am a culprit too. There was a time I was reading and I was scrolling on the page, but the page was not scrolling. Then my brain came back, oh, this is a book, not my tablet. No, when you're reading, it's normal now, default. Even without thinking, we scroll with our finger. So the book did not scroll. Oh, it's a book. You have to turn the page physically. So I think we need to help kids to regain their brain function. You mentioned something in your introduction. When we, not even children alone, when we watch a screen, or any of these long TV shows that have been crafted to engage the human mind, your brain is not doing anything. You're just consuming. You are not really doing anything, engaging with your mind. So you just watch, on and on and on. However, when you're reading a book or you are doing some task or playing games, physical games, Scrabble, chess, checkers, these engage your brain because you have to do analysis, you have to strategize. Oh, if I do this, this is what. So there are many other activities like that that engage a child's mind, which is what we need them to do. You need problem-solving skills to actually make okay, if I do this, or I did this the other day, I lost the game. Okay, maybe I'll try this. So that helps. And remember that when you're watching, when kids are focused on the phone or tablet or whatever device, they're crouched. So health issues arise from there. You see kids using glasses, as in medicated glasses now. Why? Because they are focused on a small, tiny screen for extended period of time. They do not get to exercise their eyes. You know, when you're walking, your eyes focus on different objects, the trees, the building, the car, whatever it is on the road. So you are exercising. If you are about in a single position, you are looking at that for an extended period of time, then you, of course, your eye will strain. Then you have to blink or get up or do something else. So I think it behoves on the parents and guardians to help children. During the holidays is not when they should go all out, oh, please, screen, watch as much as you want. And I get it. Parents need the limited time they have to make money for the children. However, if the money you're making for those children, the children are already taught by someone else. Because whoever creates or shoots a movie, shoots a music video, writes a song, writes a book, they're trying to pass an idea along. We as adults, as parents, have filters. You know what message this person is trying to pass across. And if this does not align with my value, with my family values, with what I'm trying to teach these children, I should not allow them to watch it. But children don't have such filters. They don't have such biases.
Okay.
They're still white tablets.
Now, maybe we should be not just healthy screen time now, but even healthy screen use. That's what you seem to be talking about.
That's it.
Healthy screen use for kids. But, you know, the digital immigrants may not even know as much as the digital natives. You want to teach the children what to watch, and they're the ones that are saying, Mommy, that one is not good. It's this one that I want. No. So help parents see what the point is here.
You know, just checking at a glance or skimming through content before your children watch it might be, oh, okay, this one is safe, watch it. But these messages are subtle. In those content, you can go online and search, oh, is this cartoon good? They'll say yes. Or is this content good for my children? But you need to be sure what you're trying to teach. The foundational stage is very important. If they take something as gospel truth, if they take something as, oh, this is what I'm working with, then they are formed. When you're trying to change them later, it will be harder. So, you know, it's to sit down with children to have conversations. This thought came to me while I was mulling over this session. Back in the days when you said for a young teenager to toast a young lady requires, actually, you have to think how to hold conversations, right? But now, quite a lot of these young kids are antisocial. So most of what you do is hide behind the screen and type what God knows what and try and engage the other human being. But you need to actually have social skills to hold conversations, to discuss anything that is just normal, apart from mobile phones. So coming back to your point, parents need to be involved in whatever the content these kids are watching. They say, I don't watch cartoons, so just allow the children watch. As long as it's cartoon, we have something in the back of my eyes for children. There's one Bowman Jack. It's a cartoon, but that cartoon is not for children. The content, the foul language and all that's in it, it's not for children, but because it's cartoon, in this case I watch cartoon, just dismiss it with a wave of hand. Please do not do that. It's better you don't let them watch at all than you let them watch what will create in them this false sense of identity, this false sense of responsibility. Our culture, yes, we talk a lot about adopting or assimilating with foreign culture. You know, anything exotic is wow. So that's how they do there. They call their parents by their name. Really? Let me use local parlance. They know born you well. You call your father by... Do you get? So, but that's what our children are being exposed to. So that has its ramifications here. That has ramifications for them there. And it works. So please, you need to be involved, whatever you want to. Sometimes you just say, take my phone, don't disturb me. take your phone, really? With all of the pop-ups, with all of the ads that just pop up at random. These kids do not know what is good or what is bad yet. And once they have a taste of stimulation, once they are stimulated, that's what they will go back and be checking. Some of the apps, games that they download on your phone, you know those games are free. They are not free. They are free to download, free to play, yes. But the adverts that pop up every few minutes is how they pay for it being free. And some of those adverts will lead them, because once you click trying to close it, it will open another app. Please, it's too risky to allow kids unfettered access. I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, that there are certain apps, I know for Android users, you can create a child account. That child account restricts a lot of things for the child. You may not be there, but you can see every activity they're doing on the phone. Apple also has that, if you're opening an account for a minor, because they also take cognizance that we can't just allow children be. There are predators out there looking for children to just pounce on. And you need control. You can think, that's too much. Oh, no, it's not. Better safe than sorry.
You know, the whole of this conversation is going in a particularly interesting angle. Now, it's something very vital that you just said. Parents, once they see that it is cartoon, we think it is safe for children. I don't know, I saw something, on the screen, living room, and I just see something evil. What is this? Say it's cartoon.
Banned.
Evil cartoon.
Oh yeah.
And you are watching it. You are not watching again. No. So there's sometimes, but then, do you really blame parents who just say to their kid, look, go and watch TV because I am busy? I know it's a catch-22, but hey, at the end of the day, it is what it is, right?
As a parent, that's why I said I understand that the time is a finite resource. You can spend that time with them, or you can spend that time doing something else. But when you wait, ultimately, whatever it is you're doing, at the back of our minds, we're doing it for our children. That's what we tell ourselves. You're trying to make money for your children. So,
aren't we? Good. So, as you were saying.
As I was saying. So, I'm not really laying the blame solely, but we need to be more involved. The last speaker, I think Mr. Biodu, he mentioned about parents shipping their children off during the holidays to relatives. Just go and spend holiday at so place, and we just leave them unprotected, so to speak. That's what we do every day, that we give screen unsupervised, unfettered access to digital devices. See, yes, I know they are digital natives. I did not teach my son any single thing on the iPad when he was 1 year old. Just got the iPad, gave it to him. He fumbled around, then he knew where the photos were. He knew how to launch the game, he knew how to play music. Like, Steve Jobs was up to something. He was really up to something. No, seriously. So, yes, I understand that. But cartoons, this digital content, there are games, there are apps that actually help them engage their brain, which is what we should nudge them towards. You want these kids to be analytical. You want them to question things. You don't want them to just take it hook, line, and sinker, fisherman and the boat, and just take it. Because that's what they know. You want them engaged than, oh, that's a new cartoon that just came out. Oh, this. Cartoons, not all of them are safe. Please, I cannot say this enough. I know how it's bubbling inside of me. This is like the junkyard capital of the world. Everything just goes. Once you are watching, you are okay, Abi. As long as the child is not making noise, not disturbing you. When children run around, that's what being a child is. They have excess sugar. They need to burn it. They scream around the house. But parents want quiet. You've been stressed. Island to mainland. You are stressed. You don't want noise. So stop making noise. Go and watch. Please. Danger lurks around the corner. It will not help. It will not hurt, really, if we just pay a little bit more attention. See, They don't have to be online. Let me re-emphasize that. Your children do not have to be on the internet. Whatever it is they need to learn, you can download this thing. You can save it. You can download it, then have them watch it offline with time limits. I don't see why children should be watching TV during school days, as in even in the evening. Children need more sleep than we adults do, but children will still be up watching TV. 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Really?
And they're going to school tomorrow.
Really? So, like you said, we are doing these things for our children. The time is limited. But I think, in my own opinion, if you have the children read more books, that would engage them.
Okay. You're going to recommend some of these apps that you say are safe. Because let's not even fool ourselves. Digital devices are here to stay.
They ain't going nowhere.
But before you recommend those apps, we're only talking about digital devices. We're not talking about what Elon Musk says is way worse, which is artificial intelligence. In fact, I hold the opinion, I don't think many parents are even aware of the potential.
Existence.
Not even the existence.
Existence first, before the potential. Oh, you're talking because you're exposed. You're talking about AI because, you know, right? Existence first. Then you can now talk about potential. But go on.
Well, that's it. So people don't even know about it.
So, I'm not holding brief, but there's a device by one of these big tech companies, let me not mention their name. It's a speaker, right? But it's a smart speaker. Once you wake up and you just call out to the assistant, start my day, it goes through a routine. Tells you what your calendar is, because it's synced with your email and your calendar, tells you what meetings you have, then plays your favorite music to put you in the morning mood. If you have a connected fridge or a connected coffee maker or a connected lighting system or home automation system, it puts all of those things in place, just like you see in the movies. I kid you not. That's for about less than $100. That device is connected to the internet, but of course, it can be used for less than optimal uses. So, parents being aware of artificial intelligence. My fear, of course, the fear of a whole lot of other experts, is that with the information explosion, we now have less informed people. You know, something about constipation. When you have a lot of food in your fridge, you're not hungry. When you do not have food in your fridge, then you open it a couple of times and you say, I'm hungry. So there's a whole lot of information, but we have less informed people. Why? Because it's always there. So for a young person to write or turn in their assignment at home now, just ask ChatGPT. It will solve all of it for you. But remember, it's not just the answer. You have to show working. Now, ChatGPT can show working. The last Apple device that was released, the tablet, just write the question, the mathematical equation with the pen. Write it. It will solve it for you and show you the workings. I kid you not. So now you have kids that are heavily reliant on technology and don't know how to actually do it. There's this almighty formula when I was in secondary school, quadratic equation. Good Lord. I suffered. But I ultimately learned it. So a young person don't need to go through that. Children, digital natives now, they don't need to go through all that. Why are you stressing yourself? Just put it in ChatGPT. It will give you the equation step by step. So how will the teachers mark to ascertain the proficiency by the student? Which is why in the tertiary institutions globally, even including Nigeria, they frown on plagiarism and AI. Because when you need to turn in your assignment, just ask ChatGPT, how do I do this? It just writes 1,000 words, 2,000 words, 5,000 words. Do you get? So the professor or the lecturer that will mark that will have a hard time. So now you have other services that detect AI language.
I have one detection. Once I see the word tapestry, I
Furthermore.
know, I know it is ChatGPT. Once I see that word tapestry.
Once you see overall, no, overall, at the bottom of the composition, overall, ChatGPT in the mode. So what I would recommend is for parents who don't know, you need, and again, I think our generation and the generation coming after will be the most exposed, I don't want to say enlightened, most exposed to the technology advancement in all of human history, because the amount of information available right now eclipses all that has ever been. And of course, is it Moore's law? The amount of information multiplies or doubles. But now, even the time it doubles is shorter now, because all these LLMs, large language models, which the artificial intelligence use in the output, is growing. But I make bold to say this. I said this the last time, that there are some things that Google cannot find. There are some things AI cannot find. What? The thought in my head that I have not typed out yet. Seriously, because anything digital can be crawled, and of course, it's part of how they train these large language models. So my summation is, parents, see, help your children. How do you help them? If you deny them outright access, they will find it in school, because kids now take phones to school, right? They will find it in a neighbor's house or something. So it's not outright denial, but teaching them to know what is beneficial to them and what will harm them down. You play now, you pay later. But if you pay now, you can watch anything you want to watch now. Why? You've paid your dues. And when you are watching something and you're like, nah, listen, you shut it down.
Even there are some films that you were looking for them back in time. Today, they're all over the place.
Oh, I remember Video Rental. There's this film that we want to watch, but there's no time. There's no time. Because you trade in your time to watch the movie, right?
Okay. We may have to expand this conversation, Aki. But those apps that you're talking about,
okay,
let's recommend those ones.
Okay, for Android users, Family Link, that's the aim. And this only works if you have your children, you've gotten them devices already, phones, tablets, and the like. You can use the Family Link. If they have laptops and your children are...
Family Link is for Android?
Android, yes.
Okay.
For Apple, I don't have the name offhand now, but if you search children monitoring apps on the Apple Play Store, Apple Store rather, the App Store, family children monitoring apps, because you need to be their guardian in the real sense of the word. Digitally, they are at the mercy.
There's also one by Microsoft. Microsoft has one as well.
Microsoft also has.
Microsoft has one. I forgot
if your
the
kids
name.
have laptops, you know the laptop is more like the gateway to everything. Yeah, the phone is.
Family for the one for
Google.
No. For Google, it's Family Link.
Family Link, yes.
For Microsoft, it's Family Safety.
Aha.
Yeah.
Because it's a big deal for these tech companies that children remain safe. There was this story. Remember Angry Birds?
Yeah.
Many years ago. There was a child that racked up about £70,000 on the parent's credit card. Because, of course, it will be the parent's device with their card details stored on it. And you know, when you are playing Angry Birds, you need extra life. You have to keep pressing extra life. So the kids racked, of course, they refunded the fund when the parents sued. But that's just something without supervision. Without supervision, things can go awry. So we need to help our kids. These apps may seem overbearing, but please, go ahead and do it. Your children will thank you for it later. There are certain times our parents will tell us back then, no TV. Of course, let me resort to local balance. You're not well born to go and put on the TV. but now, even if you ground your kids, they still get their phone or somehow still get screen time later in the evening. And when children sleep with the screen, or they have TV in their room, or they have their tablet, they take it to their room, they do not get good quality sleep.
I don't think parents are even aware of the effect, the potential impact, the potential or the progressive destruction that is ongoing in the minds of the children, are they?
You know, when it's not visible, we don't tend to take action. When someone is physically ill, unwell, you take urgent action, take them to the hospital, you run tests. But when someone is unwell mentally or is tending towards it, we don't tend to catch it on time. But let me give you some telltale signs. When you have kids that are irritable, they are moody, more often than not. I talked about doomsday scrolling the last time, a couple of weeks ago. Doomsday scrolling is when you're on Instagram or any of these social media platforms. You can't get to the end. When you get to the end, your brain tells you, oh, I have finished this. You move on to another thing. But lie. You, where are you going? Keep scrolling. You keep seeing it because the algorithm learns what you like. So if it's skit, the skits will keep coming. If all you like is all this to do, all these pranks, these people that play pranks up and down, that's what it will keep bringing, and you will keep watching. Before you know it, you just want to check Instagram for 5 minutes. I've never seen anybody check for 5 minutes. 2 hours later, in that SpongeBob, 5 hours later. That's where you go. So kids, children, young adults, teenagers, preteens need this guide to... I told you the other time about this app that tells you when you've been on social media for a certain amount of time. You can set the limit yourself. Okay, I don't want to spend more than 1 hour today on social media. When you're using the app, once the 1 hour is up, it just tells you, locks the app. 1 hour is up, close. You now choose
to unlock.
So in that way, you know that you're the one that is looking for
I don't know the number of times my kids have called me, Daddy, my phone is not working.
And what did you say?
I said, don't worry, it will work tomorrow.
I trust you. but you know the interesting thing, at least I remember kids, once you give them the iPad and they're watching, and the battery runs flat, they now bring it to you.
My son will bring, Daddy, my iPad is dead. He will now be looking at my own iPad like this. I'll just look away. Sometimes I just indulge. That's for the adults. That's for the parents. How about the educational apps? Because it's a maze out there. It's a jungle. It's
Wild West.
Yes. So what are the safeguards? And parents, please, should also do this. Insist that your children will watch only healthy content. And it's a rule, for my little ones. If it's not educational and you watch it, you're going to get a ban. So I think we should be able to get to that point. And please, don't even get me started on children that say to their mom, it's what I want that I want.
Really?
Oh, God.
Really?
Anyway, I'm a presenter, so let me not be in that here.
You can check the history of what your children are doing online. On mobile device, on computers, even on the TV. What they've watched, you can go to the history and check, because you can assume, you can tell them, don't do this, but of course, children. It's what you say, don't do. Oh, yeah.
You'll just say why.
We need to be sure why they're telling us we should not do this thing. So you can check that and audit from time to time. That will help.
How do you check what children have watched on TV?
Oh, all of the apps have history. Some kids that are watching this will be smart enough to delete it. But once you have those parental apps I mentioned, you cannot delete your activity. No. It's not allowed. That's why you are on a children account. It's not allowed. The parents can only do that. So for those educational apps, like you said, remember quantitative reasoning, verbal reasoning, textbooks that was a big deal back in the days. Those allow you to reason, oh, this is a triangle. Oh, this is 2, 3. What should be next? 4, right? So those apps, one of it is Peak, P-E-A-K. P is available across platforms for Android, for iOS devices as well. Peak, P-E-A-K app. It's a free app, I believe. You will find verbal, how to converse, English, mathematical, and even deductive reasoning. Because, okay, this happens, what should happen here? Because kids need to exercise their capacity to reason, right? Another one is LUMOS, L-O-M-U-S, I think, M-O-U-S, LUMOS, yeah, L-U-M-O-U-S. It's another one. What they do is just provide engagement. And when your kid or your children are engaging their minds using screen, that's a permissible use of the screen time, because most of these things are not written, they're not printed out. They're digital. And because the AI model in the back end also learns how they learn, then it gives them more. Your kid can learn a second language. Easy. Apps. One of those apps is Babel, B-A-B-E-L, Babel app. They can learn a second language, free. French, Spanish, Chinese, Cantonese, whatever other language they need to learn, because it just gives them examples. Just like how would I put it now? Gradual steps. You hit certain milestone, you can speak, even if it's just basic conversational proficiency. You can attain using those apps. There are quite a ton of them. Kids now, everybody is pushing their kid to learn programming. No. That's not the way out. No. Yes, tech. But when you hear tech, it doesn't mean programming. Not everybody is friends with mathematics. Myself included. However, tech is huge, right? Some people need to sell the tech products. Some people need to teach people how to do it, how to use it, right? So there's a whole lot out there with tech, but let's not just assume that all our kids will become tech whiz, but they need to know how to use it. How can somebody be applying for a job this day and don't know how to use a computer? So I'm not sure what the person hopes to achieve by getting the job. You cannot use a computer. Say, oh, I'm a first learner. Oh, really? Okay. You should have fast learned it before you started applying. No, serious. And this one, I'm really passionate about it. Please, if you're a young person, if the highest level of education you've had is secondary school, please go to cyber cafe. I think there's a business center. Just offer to learn how to type. It's the least you can do. And you know the interesting thing? Most of this same set of people use the iPhone without issues. Granted, all they do is social media, type, and call, but they use the iPhone. So, learning how to be compliant in this technology age is not negotiable. I'm not sure how you function in this age when you cannot use the basic terminal. And you know the interesting thing? The computer is moving away from the desktop and laptop that we know. You've seen not just that, you've seen the Apple Vision. You wear glass. Inside the glass, you just be using your hand gesture. You'll be controlling with your eyes. Say, eh? So it's progressing. And our kids are the beneficiary of this, but we need to help them build the foundation first to know what to choose or what aligns or what will help them and what will take away from them.
Yeah, so what are the apps to run away from? I don't know. So what are some
run
of the
away?
Apps? Yes.
That's very big.
Yeah, okay. So avoid. Also be cautious about.
Oh, really? Social media apps? On social media, do they like me? Am I liked? Are they dragging me? That's the currency. It's, somebody just posted something controversial. The person does not believe it, but because the person needs engagement, because of Elon's money, you have to drive engagement. So you become controversial for the money. So social media apps, please, as much as possible, limit your time. Unless you're selling there, please, do what you can. Sell very well. Shameless plug. When something is trendy, jump on it and put your products there. So apps to run away from. When you see free apps, you know you are the product. I've said this over and over again. Nothing is free. Somebody is paying for it. We've all been, not we've all been, for those who have been on Facebook since the early 2008s, you've been the product. Oh, yeah. Back then when they were still in the early stages, if you send a post on Facebook, you are guaranteed that 1,000, 2,000 people will see it. Now, less than 10.
Wow.
Unless you boost the post. They have to make money now. They are not world biggest social media company by mouth. So apps to run away from. Once you see free app, you need to really read up on it. If we do our due diligence, we would get more value out of our technology devices. But because we just follow the bandwagon, follow the trend, there was one tap something some time ago, the crypto mining app where you'll be tapping your screen and you'll be getting. It was one young boy from Russia that wrote the app and he just swept across the globe. So the idea was, after you're tapping, you're mining, that's not how it works. That's not how it works.
So, and some people will just sit and just be...
Oh, there's a guy in the northern part of Nigeria that employed a couple of guys that were tapping for him. I think it was like the top earner, in quote, in Nigeria.
What did he earn?
Well, he claims to have earned about $10,000. Claimed. I cannot verify that. I cannot deny it. However, that's what technology brings to the table. People can follow trend and not get anything out of it. Technology is supposed to make our life easier. Remember when we used to, not we, but I want to believe our ancestors. let me be factual, please. Our ancestors would cut tree with whatever device they could find. They would start fires with rocks, sparks. But technology made things easier. Now you have lighter, now you have all of this to cut trees. Not just to cut trees, now you see equipment, farming on a large scale. Subsistence farming was how they started. Yeah, you do your back-breaking hoe and do whatever and do the ridges. But now, acres, hectares, right? So technology is supposed to make our life easier. If it is not, then we are using it the wrong way.
No. So those are I'm now
social media apps.
Social media apps, largely for young adults. We'll still come to the parents in a bit. We'll spend about 10 minutes or thereabout there. But there's this one that I see. How good would you say it is for children? Minecraft.
So Minecraft was bought over by Microsoft a couple of years ago. It's one of their leading apps. What it does, it helps whoever is using it, and not just children, because I know adults actually use this.
I'll sit down and be building.
So
Phantom
the idea behind Minecraft is you can create your own world, create your own game, create whatever it is, and using the building blocks that they give you in the game. So the implication is over hundreds of thousands of games abound on Minecraft, built by individuals. So instead of one person publishing a game, all of you come and play. They just give you the building blocks. So what you're doing is you're mining, then the materials you get from there, you use it to build your own world.
Okay. Now let's help some adults, particularly digital immigrants.
Like ourselves.
And digital slaves. Many don't even know that some of these devices, happen. They are there for them. The reason many parents are so busy is because they don't even know that there is certain technology help that they can get. For instance, we've spoken about AI. There are a good number of people who don't know how to use this AI for their own, so that they can, for themselves, so that they can at least, save some time that they can now spend with their children. Can you give some assistance in that regard?
Okay. Sometimes a parent wants to plan food or meals for their children, but you have no idea where to go about it. It doesn't get, what would they eat, what would they eat, what would they eat? Easy. What are you trying to do? You can just Google, Facebook, quite a number of them now have their own, Microsoft too, they have their own AI inbuilt into their search engines. On your phone, if you have Google, the AI is already in there. Don't need to look for it, right? Microsoft, on their search engine, they already have their own AI inbuilt. Apple. So what you can do is just search meal plan for my children. Put their ages there. It will give you But of course, you need to localize it. Because when it starts telling you to go and get asparagus.
Just say, Nigerian meal time for my children.
Do you get? So that's one way to save yourself the headache of trying to plan what meals they will eat. You know, we don't get a lot of balanced diet here. Carbohydrate is the mainstay of our... Yeah, you get plenty rice. You get small meat, if available. So with the rising costs of food items, you can be sure that the options are now even more limited. So that's one way to save time in meal planning. Another way would be fun activities that you can do with your children, because by the time you've gone 3 hours in traffic from the mainland to the island and you reverse the same in the evening, well, you are spent. And I'm saying either father or mother now. Whoever has to travel long distances to work, that's already about a quarter of the day gone. And you still need to sleep to resume the same tomorrow. So the time to spend with the children is quite limited on the weekdays. But you can still do fun activities with them. You can read to them. I know this concept is foreign to us because just a few of us had our parents read stories to us. Right? Read what? How? Which book first? Right? But you can read to your children. And for, how would I put it now? For somebody trying to ask, what exactly will I read? If you don't have anything to read, find on the same Google we are talking about, bedtime stories. You will find it on this. What it does is you can bridge the gap. Using that same AI, you are not paying extra for it.
I actually find it very interesting, you know, that question that you just raised, mealtime for kids, because people need to really know that technology is there for us to make your life so much easier. You have a report to write. I mean, this is something that I've done. I want to write a report for something, and I have no idea how to go about it. And I'm looking for the words is it preside or precede? I don't know. I just put all the junk, right? In ChatGPT. I said, Oga, put this in report or in minutes form. And make it into columns of who does what and all of that. You find out that ChatGPT does it. It's really that easy, and it'll be very strange if we still have parents who don't know how to do those things.
It is not strange. Please go on. It is not strange. No, it is not. You are talking to urban citizens, right? The rural citizens, right? Nah, it's not strange. Not at all. Oh, yeah. But please go on. The phone,
I mean,
mobile communication
it is. I'm actually glad, you know, that is the case, because it means that even that same technology they can use for their farming and everything and all of that. And it is not limited to professions either.
No, it's not. It is not. There's some tools, there's some equipment for carpentry that I've never seen in my life before. Of course, I grew up in Nigeria. However, online, you see certain equipment. Wait, what do they use this for? Then when you see how to make furniture without nails, no nail, in a sitting table, there are some lovely technology, Japanese technologies, ancient Japanese, I might add, how they make this furniture fit it to each other and just with glue. And you see, wait, really? All I know is hammer and nail. Bah, bah, bah. Then that filing, no. The word has left that behind a long time ago.
Really?
Oh, yeah. How to bend wood.
Wood or metal?
Wood, please. I was shocked too. They bend wood by heating it up. It's weird. So where I'm going is, it's not limited to just professionals. Artisans, they are, Lord. The possibilities are endless if you are rubbing minds with those who have gone ahead. But when all we do is just bicker among ourselves, we can't get anything done meaningfully. Of course, we still have a lot. I know the various government agencies, SMIDAN, I know there's a LASVEB, Lagos State Technology for Education and Education Board. They're doing a lot in helping those who come, because you can have it, unless people come to collect it, how will you go about chasing them? Come and collect. We have resources, we have materials that can help you do your job or your vocation better. Technology is improving daily, and unless we can open up to accept it or to embrace it, we may not get the most out of it. So AI in its rudimentary form can just extend what you already have. 0 times 1 million is 0. You need to have something for AI to work with, right? So if there's nothing, believe me, AI will give you nothing. Nothing valuable will come out of it. However, when you have something, it's just a multiplier. It's nothing of itself, which is why you don't see AI going around and just doing anything. No. Somebody has to prompt, then it gives you options, but you need to know what you're looking for. That, okay, this works, no, this doesn't work. Then you can get something new, something fresh.
Isn't it even lazy that all you want to do with technology is, this is the question my teacher asked me, answer the question.
I don't.
And garbage in, garbage out.
Well, coming back to education, I'm sure there's a lot going on with the Ministry of Education and in reviewing our curriculum. Way back in the mid-2000s, they were still teaching Fortran and COBOL as programming languages. These were the programming languages that was used to go to the moon. I keep going back there because computing in the 60s and the 70s were just basic formula translation. Beginners or symbolic instruction code. That's what the computers, that's how they programmed them then. And in the 2000s, that's still high institution. I'm not talking secondary school curriculum. I know they have changed, updated a few of them now. But this, keeping up with the times, keeping up with technology would help. Because by the time higher institution students are just learning this at that stage, our counterparts in other parts of the world, we're learning this in elementary school because it's part of the curriculum. So you see a young one come out with an app, come up with something like, wow. And everybody, because the earlier they start, the earlier they can get and adopt and adjust and keep up with the times.
I actually, when you were talking about carpentry the other time, I was shocked to see one device that was used to cut triangle. Perfect triangle. It's, it's the same rotational, this thing, that the same way you used it to cut circle.
Yes, the die cutting machine.
To cut a triangle. Perfect size. My oval was gasted and my flabber was whelmed. Well, you won't find it in edition.
To any of our viewers thinking that they must have been doing nothing, it's the computer that is controlling the machine. The computer sends the image and the dimension to the machine cuts it. Just like you do with the printer.
Yeah.
Once you send whatever is on your computer, the printer prints it out. You don't care how the printer prints it. Your own is the printer prints it. So they have lasers and 3D printing and a whole lot of technology that has been invested in those machines, and they bring it out.
Okay. Well, let me just, by the way, another thing that people use technology for is to cook food. I know that there are fridges now, refrigerators, that you can just sit. You sit in your office and you know everything that is in the fridge, including the one that's almost spoiled and the ones that you've run out of stock, and it will tell you when you get to the market, it will tell you, do I still have egg? No, I don't.
I'm sure there's someone listening now, watching us now, like, nah, I don't believe that.
No, don't worry. Just Google it, you'll find it. But lastly, so we can coast home. Technology is available to help fast track our lives so that we can have more time for kids, right? Among other things.
Amongst other things. Thank you.
So that we can be able to have time for our children. What do we do with those children is another matter. Someone has spoken about it earlier. What are the things that you would advise that we do with the time that we have, especially when we know that we have to do it with technology with the kids?
So sharing our experience with the children, our experience with technology, is a good way to start. Why did I say that? It's easy to take it for granted when you are a digital native. But there was a time, the first time I entered a cyber cafe in my life was shortly before 9/11 happened in the US. And I remember this because the events were so interconnected. I walked into the center, I saw computers, I saw a young lady sitting, and I just saw YAHOO. Of course, nobody told me. I just thought, wow, Yahoo. What is Yahoo? Which one is Yahoo? So I went there. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm browsing. He said, what's browsing? Strange. Very strange. But so I asked, he said, oh, you can come and sit down. So such stories will help the children because they're knowing part of your life.
By hearing those things.
Thank you. Okay. I doubt parents sit down with their children and say, see, apart from the gory stories anyway, say, when I was your age, I was top of my class. No, it's not like that one. No, you are talking at them. When you share and you become vulnerable, and I know it's not very easy, hurting people hurt others. So parents who've been hurt have no recourse. They will pass it on to their children. However, children see you for who you are. It's not what you say. Say, do as I say. You are who.
So it's all about engagement.
Engagement. And you don't need to look for what to talk about with your kids. You find it, and it's always there. It's always there around you. Okay. The friends you keep. You know, no, I don't like that boy. No, don't move. No, it's not like that. You find from them. So, oh, that's your friend. Oh, what do you guys talk about? Just engagement. There's no other way to break it down.
Oh, well, let's hope that we have all learned a thing or two. Because the opportunity to talk with them throughout this summer, as we call it, is almost all gone now.
Yeah.
But if we can redeem a little bit of the time, it'll be good. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Akin Bito is a tech advisor and digital security enthusiast. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Well, unfortunately, we weren't able to have our Artist of the Week. Apologies about that, but hey, we'll definitely make sure that we do better on that particular one next time. In the meantime, thank you so much for the privilege of being a part of your morning, and I hope you've had fun and you've learned a thing or two watching. I'm Ayo Makinde. On behalf of everyone here, thank you for your time and have a wonderful rest of your day.